I'm getting clients and I'm not even selling to them, she happily told me. The thing is, once people understand that you deliver the exact value and results they're looking for, you don't need to engage in any hard selling. You naturally stand out and create a market of one. Hello, and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast, formerly the Driven Female Entrepreneur podcast. I'm your host, Melita Campbell, best-selling author, award-winning business coach, and founder of the Value Whispering Blueprint. If you are looking for a simpler and more natural way to attract clients, build a profitable business that makes a positive difference in people's lives, then I am really excited that you've chosen to join us today. Over 3 decades in marketing, I've seen clear patterns in what works when it comes to building a successful brand and business. The secret is to know, articulate, and live your true value. It's not just about being your best self. It's about you and your business being distinct in a way that matters. So no matter what stage your business is at, or how soft your voice is, you can have a powerful impact that you become known for and can feel proud of. Today on the show, I want to share with you how you can start to find and define your true value. But before we do, I want to invite you to join my community where you can continue to discuss the themes of today's episode, gain access to weekly live masterclasses with me, business coaching tools and training, and a wonderfully supportive community of like minds. You can find the Dream Clients Club by visiting melitacampbell.com/club. The best part is you get all of this for everyone's favorite price of free. So come and join us at melitacampbell.com/club. Okay, so on to today's show. Last week, I talked about how I started my business to help service-based businesses communicate the value of what they do. Now, I could easily have taken the approach that I would work with you to create your perfect messaging and marketing plan, but I felt strongly and still do that wouldn't work. At least not until you know and believe in your true value. And once you do, then I almost don't need to work on your messaging or your marketing at all, because with this belief, you already show up and are seen differently. And I see this happening all the time. It's not uncommon for people to join my Value Whispering Blueprint, and after defining their true value, before we even begin to work on their messaging, they start attracting more clients. And I'm going to introduce you to one of those clients that I've had that result in a short while and explain how that came about for her. But what I see is that they start to attract more clients and people want to work with them regardless of their pricing because they instantly see the immense value that your service offers them. So the first step in my Value Whispering Blueprint, and the first step I take all of my clients through, regardless of whether they're just starting out in business or have been operating for decades, is to define your true value. And today I'd like to show you just how to do this. And so you can start to define your true value too. This episode is really going to help you if you find yourself overwhelmed by your marketing, if you find yourself endlessly tinkering with the words on your website, if you struggle to explain the real value of what you do and get tongue-tied at networking events when you have to introduce yourself, if you find that your audiences love your talks and webinars and presentations, but no one shows any interest in becoming a client, or if you are posting religiously on social media, but not attracting any clients or interest, or if you find yourself struggling to justify your pricing in your sales conversation and end up giving discounts. If you can relate to any of these, you likely aren't yet communicating your true value clearly enough. So today's episode will really, really help you because we know that people buy based on perceived value. So until you know that value and you can communicate it clearly, you're going to hold your business back. The good news is it's simple to do. It's not expensive, nor does it require any specialist knowledge or tools. Just some time to think and reflect. And when you do and you nail your true value everything else becomes easier, more enjoyable, and more impactful. The even better news is that I'm going to help you start that process right here, right now. Now, just to set expectations before we get started, this most likely isn't going to be a listen along to the episode and get a big ta-da moment kind of a thing. Finding your true value is a process. It involves many different factors coming together, but for sure, today you will have a start point, and with a bit of deep thinking and playing around with the ideas that come out for you, you'll be well on your way. The process starts with some introspection and brainstorming or journaling, mind mapping, whatever method you prefer. Then you're going to look for the patterns in what comes out for you and then see what fits with who you are today and what your vision for the future is. Often you won't get it straight away. You might need to try on a few versions before you find the perfect fit. And you may need to walk away and forget about it and give it some time to filter through before you start to find your true value. When my clients go through this process, they often find that it's only after they've defined their dream clients and methodology that things start to drop in place. Because I think that finding your true value is a bit like a tango. You take one step forward, one to the side, then shimmy with all the information before making a big ha as one piece of the puzzle becomes clear. By the way, I have to tell you, I've never danced a tango. So I have no idea the actual steps or if you even do a shimmy in a tango, but hopefully you get my drift. It's not a one-step straightforward process, but it's definitely worth doing because once you nail it, as I said earlier, everything else becomes clear. Not just your messaging, but how you approach your marketing and sales, the experience you create for your clients, and how you deliver your products. It impacts your processes and the people you hire, everything. Last week in the Magnetic Messages Challenge, several participants messaged me to say the understanding they now have is life-changing. And they've only just scratched the surface of the value whispering tools and approach. So be prepared for lots of thinking, knowing that the outcome could be life-changing. Okay, if you're ready, here's where to start. So you want to brainstorm all the things that make you unique and awesome. And I know this process isn't something that perhaps comes naturally to us. I did this many years ago when running marketing workshops for business owners. I took at that time a more traditional marketing approach and I started with a SWOT analysis. But honestly, it was heartbreaking. Without fail, my workshop participants would have one or two things in their strengths column and dozens of things listed as weaknesses. But on closer inspection, most of the weaknesses people had listed could be worked on easily, were actually strengths, or were completely irrelevant. It didn't matter if they could play the guitar to become an executive coach. That experience really showed me how difficult we find this process and how it's just not something that we've ever done before or been trained to do. So now I do things very differently and I just zoom in on your good points. And there is plenty to discover, I promise you. So here are some things that you can start to work on. You might want to listen to this a couple of times or listen and pause and do some journaling or write down your thoughts as we go. But the first thing to explore is what drives you. What are you passionate about, not just in your business, but in all aspects of life? What lit you up as a child, as a young adult, today, and in the future? It may seem funny to ask what will light you up in the future, but I think we all have a secret list of things we'd love to do when X, Y, or Z happens. So think forward. What are those things that you would love to do? Then dive into your values and preferences. What are your top two or three things in each category? What do these mean for you? And how do they guide the way you approach your work and show up for your audience and clients? Often a way of seeing what we care about most is looking at what annoys us most about other people or what we really don't like in other people's approach. That can share with us what we find is important for us to do. Then you want to reflect on your past. What have you loved about your past experiences? What jobs did you do that you really enjoyed, and what aspects of those stood out? Why did you choose those? And what does that tell you about what you love to do and where you can excel and have an amazing impact? Keep going with these questions until you feel there's nothing more to add. And you can always add to your list later as more things come to you, because when you take a shower in the morning, take the dog for a walk, sitting in the car park, or watching your kids in the swimming pool, you'll probably come up with more ideas because your brain will continue to work on these in the background. Then you want to reflect on your zone of genius. When you operate from your zone of genius, you find it easy to get into the flow, create your best work, and have a meaningful impact. It's not so easy to define, however, because often what we do brilliantly feels so easy and natural for us, we haven't even noticed that it's something special. So it can be helpful to turn to others for some help here. You can reach out to a handful of people that you know and know you well and that you trust to give you honest feedback, and ask them, what have you noticed that I do really well, maybe better than other people, that you've noticed I haven't really picked up on for myself, and see what comes back. Gay Hendricks talks about this in his book, The Big Leap, which I highly recommend you read. And also Flo, and I can't say his name, Mahali Csikszentmihalyi, I think that's how you say it, is also a great read in this respect. I'll add the links to these books and videos from both authors that explain these concepts in the show notes, so you can dive into those if you want to. Once you have all of this information, start to find the patterns and see what emotions come up for you. Of what you've written, what do you feel most connected to and most passionate about? What explains why you do the things the way you do? And why does that make you different from others in your industry? Reflect on that and see what comes up for you. And again, this may be something that you want to think about, put aside, and come back to later. As I said at the beginning, this is unlikely to be work that you'll complete in one sitting. It often takes some time, a bit of tango to come up with your true value. And I'd like to share an example of this in action by introducing you to Kate. She was my first ever client that I took through this process. But I think when you see what happened in her business, you'll see how this process works and just how powerful it can be. So when we started working together, Kate's school had been making a loss for 2 years. As a teacher, she had assumed it was her lack of marketing and business know-how that was keeping her from success. However, this was not the case, and it has never been the case for any of the teachers, photographers, any of the business owners I've worked with since Kate. You know so much more about marketing, sales, and business than you know. And I'll perhaps dive into that in a future episode. But Kate's lack of knowledge was not what was holding her back. On our first session together, Kate realized that when a potential client asked about her school, she was talking about her teaching rather than the why behind her approach. This meant she was saying exactly the same as her competition instead of sharing her real difference or impact. And this meant that her prospects couldn't see the difference between her service and the cheaper alternatives. So, of course, they bought from other people. However, once she identified her true value, she could confidently explain her difference and do so from the heart. It was a game changer. Almost overnight, her prospects started signing up on the spot. Now that they could instantly understand her true value, she became their service provider of choice for their young learners, regardless of her higher prices. Within days, Kate had more clients than ever before, and nobody asked for discounts. She found that of most of the parents she spoke to while networking or who contacted her school directly instantly wanted to work with her. And 6 months later, she was considering opening a second location to keep up with demand. I'm getting clients and I'm not even selling to them, she happily told me. The thing is, once people understand that you deliver the exact value and results they're looking for, you don't need to engage in any hard selling. You naturally stand out and create a market of one. Kate's is a common situation. Many businesses lose out to competition simply because they haven't been able to clearly explain the true awesomeness of what they do. The key lesson here is to stop talking about what you do and the tools that you use, and instead talk about the passion you have for the impact you provide and the way you do it in a laser sharp way. Nail this, and filling your business with dream clients becomes enjoyable and easy, as Kate's example shows. Once we started to look at her true value, it became apparent that Kate wasn't your average English teacher. She co created lessons with her students. She never used textbooks, but tailored everything to the individual child. This sparked their passion for learning and allowed them to discover their own learning style, which helped them to do better in school too. She offered conscious parents exactly what they wanted for their child. And after a short conversation with Kate, they could see this and they wouldn't dream of working with anyone else. She didn't have to develop any fancy wording to describe her services. She didn't have to convince people or make them feel stupid for not buying. And she didn't need any fancy sales tactics. In fact, she didn't even feel like she was selling at all. So once she knew her true value, she just had to share that from the heart. And it worked. But she didn't just attract more clients. She also saved time trying to use marketing tactics that didn't feel right for her. And she cut a lot of costs as well because she started using marketing tools that she enjoyed and felt natural to her. She grew in confidence and fell back in love with her business. Finding your true value is just the beginning. You just never know what positive things lie around the corner waiting for you. And it doesn't just impact your marketing or your messaging, as we mentioned at the beginning. This has an impact on every part of your business and often has a positive knock-on effect on your life as well. You shouldn't feel overwhelmed or feel you have to work all the hours or offer discounts just to make ends meet in your business. If that's the way you're feeling right now, take a pause, re-listen to this episode, and take time to really identify your true value and try communicating that. See how people respond. Go to networking events and present your true value that you've discovered and see how it feels to you. See how others respond to you. And then do that bit of a tango until you find your true value that feels right and connects with your dream clients. Because once you can do that and articulate your true value with confidence and clarity in every interaction that you have, you'll find yourself naturally starting to attract enough of the right clients into your business. Now, if that is a result that you're looking for right now, I'm here to help you. I've packaged the full value whispering system into a 6-month program that I guide you through. And if you'd like to know more about that, then let's talk. You can book a call with me by going to melitacampbell.com/call. Meantime, come and discuss your true value, how you found this episode. Come and get support and feedback and advice to help you go through this process in the Dream Clients Club. You'll find that at melitacampbell.com/club. I hope you have found this helpful and interesting, and I can't wait to share more of the value whispering process with you in the next episode. And if you have found this helpful, don't keep this episode to yourself. Share it with your network and business besties. And I would love it if you could leave the show a review on iTunes, because that really does help more people to find the show and benefit from the wisdom. So have fun finding your true value. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode. Bye for now.